Kerley runs the number one team in the state of Remax.
And you just correct him live.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Be like, listen, bro. Like,
yeah. But
well,
for
sounded
real,
better.
For real, we
Right?
actually welcome
yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Entrepreneur Experience, the podcast for all entrepreneurs thinking about it, starting up, or a rugged veteran. We love to showcase just business entrepreneurs and stories, right? So that we can have find hope in the stories, find answers, and everything like that. I'm your co-host, Coach Joe with Action Coach, and we have...
And then I am Jared Taylor with JT Visuals without the I, because there's more than meets the eye in video content.
Yep, there you go. Hey, really quick, we have a fantastic guest here, Gary Kerley. I'm going to try to say this right. He runs the number one team in the state of Remax.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
At Remax.
At
yes.
Remax.
Yeah.
Why don't you just do it?
So, yes. So I run the number one team in the state of Missouri at Remax, which happens to be the number one brokerage in the world. So
Nice.
It's pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, Gary, you say that so well. You probably have to say that a lot so you can introduce yourself. Other people introduce yourself. I know that before you join, you're like, okay, I got to work on my social anxiety. So let's just kind of get a little icebreaker in here. Just talk about something other than entrepreneurship, and then we're gonna.
Yeah.
We would love to hear your story. Is that cool?
So, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what is a good icebreaker question? I was gonna say coffee or tea, but I already know what he drinks. So,
Well, I
or
don't.
doesn't
So
drink.
coffee or tea?
Tea, always.
Okay.
Tea.
Mountains or ocean?
Oh, man, ocean, but my wife likes the mountains, so we split time.
Nice.
Mhm.
The answer's both on
Yeah,
everything.
both,
Yeah.
always.
You know?
Yeah, coffee and or tea.
Uh-huh.
Yep. So speaking of social anxiety, I don't know if anyone on there, like if you're going to networking things and all that, this really helped me, is when you feel equipped to go and do it. So can I share that real quick?
Go ahead.
It's golf.
Golf.
So GOLF.
Uh-huh.
G is
Uh-huh.
geography. All you do is ask them about where they're from. Talk about the geography of them. Like you just ask questions, and it takes all the pressure off yourself, you know? And then the O is occupation.
I'm getting here.
And then the L is leisure. So what do they like to do for fun? And then the F is family. Then you get into the, hey, tell me about your family stuff.
Yeah.
And that's like really helped me. And usually I don't even get all the way through it before someone leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or form. So, form's kind of the same thing.
Form.
Right?
What is that
yeah.
one?
Family, occupation, recreation, and
Oh.
It's like,
whatever.
Well, look, I'm a high D on the disc, y'all, so I'll just ask you one question and ask you just to give me everything.
All right,
so,
let's do it.
Gary, bird's eye view of who you are. If I took a 10,000 view of you, give us a rundown on who you are, how you got there, family, leisure, stuff like that, and then we'll get right into the nitty-gritty of business.
Sure. Well, I grew up in Independence, Missouri.
all right.
Yeah. So kind of grew up, not a lot of money, it was just more, grew up fighting. I was a kid and nobody was allowed to hang out with
Physically
in the neighborhood.
fighting?
Yeah. So
Survival mode. Baby.
yeah, I was a kid. Nobody was allowed to hang out with in the neighborhood.
Oh, really? Did you start them or did you react?
So I was more of defending my friends had some big mouths, so I was definitely no bully. I usually fought the bullies.
Yeah.
That's a gangster mentality. Your friends start the fight and you go and finish it.
Yeah,
right?
so bash the kids with some rocks, threw a dart through a kid's hand. I was a kid. Nobody was allowed to hang out with, like the troublemaker in the neighborhood.
Wow.
Grew up and, most of my friends kind of got into drugs and alcohol, and I stayed clean, and I became a cop.
Good for you, man.
Oddly enough, when people that knew me back then realized that I became a police officer, they're like, no way.
No way.
So where were you?
I was going to say that's odd. You're the one bashing the heads with the bricks, throwing a dart through a hand. Your friends start the fight, you finish it.
Yeah.
They turn out bad, you turn out good.
Yeah,
That's weird.
it's kind of interesting, but I was also the kid that I was a weird kid in the corner, social anxiety. I was actually diagnosed with social anxiety when I was a kid. Yeah. And so even to this day, it's something I struggle with every day.
Oh,
I
okay.
come in here, I woke up and I'm like, podcast, what do I do?
But it's all the ahead
how do
of
I
time
cancel?
stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's not during as much,
so
right?
I've learned some techniques, especially through law enforcement,
Breathing.
controlled breathing, tactical breathing.
Yeah,
So all the way over here, I tactically breathe.
I was hearing him.
walking up.
I heard your breath here.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it's just something I've struggled with. So when I became a police officer, like everybody in the family is like, you don't know how to talk to people. Like you don't talk to people. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because growing up, I never really thought I'd ever actually amount to anything. Like it wasn't kind of like I wasn't the guy that was going to turn into anything, right?
Wow.
So I just thought like, oh, you know, I'd get some little weird job where I didn't talk to anybody.
And you became a cop.
And struggle. Yeah, I became a cop where it's
you
like.
talk for a living.
Yeah, my job is to go talk to people and de-escalate. And then I became a detective. And people are like, like my whole family are like, how are you going to be a detective now?
And when you're a detective, you talk to your paperwork.
Yeah. Well, then, you know, I became the lead interrogator. I became a hostage negotiator and then led into being a crimes against children investigator for most of my career.
Already, I'm like, we need a part 2.
Yeah. So,
already.
Yeah.
Crimes against children. So I had a short career in law enforcement, and I can understand that, like, that must have been hard to see a lot of that crime against children.
Yeah.
It definitely. What made you, if you don't mind me asking, what made you choose that division?
So I was actually in burglary at the time, and man, I arrested this guy. He committed like 15 burglaries. He confessed to all of them, and he got like 2 years probation.
What?
And I was like, man, and that's like you're breaking into somebody's house, you're violating their safety, how they feel, their security, and they gave him 2 years probation, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so a spot came open in crimes against children. I was like, I bet those guys go to prison, you know? And so it's funny because I got into law enforcement. What drove me is I wanted to rid the world of drugs. And because all my friends kind of lost their life due to that.
Okay.
You get in as a patrolman, I'm arresting druggies all day, and they're out before my report's over, you know? And I'm like, well, I guess nobody gets in trouble for this, you know? Yeah. So I was like, how do I put bad guys in jail? How do I put bad guys in jail? And that's what led me to the crimes against children
gotcha.
field. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay, so police officer to business owner.
Yeah.
How did that all work out?
Well, kind of by accident. So I did 12 years in crimes against children, and man, it was probably 8 years too much. And so
you had children of your own too.
Yeah, so I had kids of my own. It was really hard. My department always told me that if I ever needed help, to come in and tell them. I went in and told them like, hey, I need transferred. I need help. Give me a break. And they're like, nope, you're our guy. They're like, imagine how many bad guys would walk free if you didn't do this. And they probably thought I was going to be like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to keep doing this. Well, it had the opposite effect. And I was like, I'm going to go find another job. And and like to this day, like I'll never forget, he's like, you've only been a cop. And I was like, damn, you're right. I've been a cop since I was 20. I have literally no idea what to do, you know? I just did like little odds and ends job until I could become a cop, you know, from being 18 to 20.
Yeah.
So my daughter's playing basketball. We're at practice, and there's a guy next to me, and I'm venting out a bad day. And he's like, have you ever thought about getting into real estate? And I'm like, I don't know anything about real estate.
When was this approximately?
This was in 2016, early 2016. Okay. Yeah. And and I was like, I don't know anything about real estate. I don't know nothing about business. Dude, I didn't go to college. I
didn't go to college either.
I barely graduated high school.
But I don't have a degree.
Yeah. I barely graduated high school, you know. And, you know,
like
I was
most
married
cops,
with kids.
right?
Yeah. And I was married with kids, and I was like, man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But I was disgruntled enough, and I was really toxic back then. I mean, I was sick and tired of being around myself, you know. I mean, I was just a bad person to be around. A bad mood, just, you know.
So how did you break that cycle? Because I know that's a hard thing.
Man, self-development, you know. Okay. So I didn't go to college, but I found out, man, you can learn so much. And I started developing like every second of the day. I was reading books. I was listening to podcasts, listening to YouTube, you know, and I changed my mindset.
Were those all about mindset, or was it?
A lot of it was.
Okay.
But really, it's just a self-improvement of myself to know that I can do it. So there was 3 words that really changed my life, and it was, why not me? You know, those 3 words changed my life. And sorry, I get a little emotional.
Oh, that's good.
So I was just running on a treadmill one day in 2016. I was like, man, why not me? Why can't I be successful? And, so I was like, screw it. I signed up for real estate school, and man, I've never studied as much in my life as I did over that 3 weeks. And then
because it's like a 3-week class,
yeah,
right?
it's like a 3-week class. It's all about memorization, just like any field. Like it has nothing to actually do with if you're going to be a good agent or not, or good realtor.
Pass the state exam,
just, yeah, pass the state and national exam. And well, I was not a good test taker in school, so I'm like, oh man, how am I going to do this? And so I just studied and studied and studied, and it's funny. So I went time to take the exam, and I scheduled it during my lunch break as a detective.
Oh.
And I'm driving out of the city, and somebody gets murdered.
Oh shoot!
My sergeant begins calling me. He's like, "Hey, you got to turn around. You got to get back." And I'm like, in my mind, and this seems insensitive, but I was like, "He's already dead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go take my test," and I just hit the gas, and I went and took the 4-hour exam in 40 minutes, and I failed it by 1. And
shoot!
Yeah, it was a bummer, and so I took it 2 days later and passed.
Okay,
yeah.
But
did you get in trouble that you?
Man, so this is the thing. They're like, what are they going to do? I was a lead detective. What are they going to do? Send me home. And they threatened it a lot, but now I know.
Yeah. You just put a patrol cop just
if
to
you're
stand over
listening
the
to
body,
this.
that's it, right?
So I have a friend who just became a detective right now.
Oh, yeah?
So
Yeah.
You got any advice for him?
Take care of yourself. The department's not going to take care of you.
That's crazy.
Take care of yourself. And,
I would, I'm actually going to second that, because I was part of a larger department. And you find out how bureaucratic it gets at the top, right? So, like, you go in there, like, wanting to change the world, and then you realize so quick, like, you're just a number.
Yeah.
And unless you're, like, a lieutenant or above, like, you just don't mean much.
And the thing is I've learned way more about leadership since I've been out than I ever did while I was in a leadership position. Wow. And it's not their fault. It's just the way they've always done it. And they're stuck in that cycle, and the money and the resources. But really, they don't know anything about systems or processes. I had 300 crimes against children cases just on my desk, and I was one person. I'm like, but they never trained me in how do I take care of 300 cases.
Right.
It was just, I figured it out. Well, and the thing is, as bitter as I am to them, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
Right.
Because I had to figure this out.
You have to have in order to make any change, like, you can't be comfortable. You have to have a healthy level of dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
But, for you, for a while, it's probably just dissatisfaction until you could actually see a vision to kind of propel you.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, early on, I was fueled by anger and, discontent. Yeah. And I wanted to shove my success in their face every day.
Yeah.
So my goal.
You still got a little bit of that in you, don't you?
A little bit, but not near as much.
Yeah.
I've worked. There's a lot of growth, a lot of coaching, to get that out. Now I do it for my family. My family I haven't met yet. That's kind of my why now.
Wow.
But
what do you mean family you haven't met yet?
Like 7 generations from now, right?
Oh.
So
these guys are future.
Yeah. So like
that's a legacy.
Yeah. Everybody's like, your legacy, right? Like, well, your kids. You're gonna know your grandkids, hopefully, but you're not gonna know their kids and their kids and their kids. So what needs to live on is your core values, your mission statement, that type of stuff. So
I've actually started getting into that. I know that we kind of get family coached by the same guy. Coming up with a family set of core values and like a mission statement. I've always done that, but I never took it seriously.
Yeah.
And we've actually been doing that. And the funny thing is one of our core values is we like to have fun together.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that as I kept mentioning that over and over again, I'm looking back at the last 3 weeks. It's like, we had so much fun together.
Yeah.
Like, we just randomly do things that are fun.
I'm actually in process of doing core values with my family right now too. Because I'm going through a legacy group.
Yeah, it's so important. And I've been blessed the last few years to be surrounded by some really high level people. Because back in I've being in the police department, I mean the best of the best people. But we're all police officers. We're all in the same place, a very tight bond. But you get out of that and you're around a different type of leadership, different type of, people. You can be around the best fathers, the best husbands, and learn from that.
And you bring up a good point. Like, we had a podcast about how your environment shapes your success or your failures, right? Like, a lot of people have said something to this tune. show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Yeah.
My mentor said, I could tell your future by the 5 friends that you hang out with, the books that you read, and, just things like that. Yeah. So when you talk about wanting to shape your family's generational legacy, you're talking about core values. Let's shift that into business. Like, how important has that been for you succeeding? But before you answer that question, let everybody, what level of success have you achieved in real estate? Not to brag or toot your horn, but just to kind of, because here's a kid from the ghetto. Let's just be real. Like, a kid from the ghetto turned into a cop.
Yeah.
Kind of, just didn't really work out the way you thought it was going to work out. Yeah. Just burnt out. No systems, no leadership, and now you're into real estate. We're going to fast forward to now where I know your success rate, but share a little bit about your successes and then how that was shaped throughout the way.
Sure. So I got in real estate in 2016. I was still a detective. So my goal at that time was, man, if I can just sell one house, I don't have to work as much overtime. And so my first year, I sold 51 houses. And so
nice.
5-1.
Yeah. So
that's almost one a week.
It was a lot. But that's the thing. It was sacrifice, time. And that's the thing is the balance is bullshit. And if I can say that on here, I'm not sure.
You say it.
I don't mind. I just care if you're real or not.
Yeah, okay. So balance is bullshit.
If balance is bull, what do we really need to look for?
So 100% family, 100% business. But there is that time of sacrifice where you may have to slide that scale a little bit over here to business to create the future for your family and the generations that you haven't met. Because those first 2 years, I was a detective and I was grinding. I would get to work an hour or two early. I'd do my real estate activities and I would do the detective work for 10, 11 hours. I would show homes on the way home every single night. On weekends, I was showing 25, 30 homes, Saturdays, 25, 30 homes Sunday. Our family time began to, what park is near the homes that am I showing so I can take the kids with me to make it look like we're, it's an adventure. And so, the second year, I think I sold like around 76 and I left the police department over a tie, essentially. There was a lot of stuff, but that was kind of what built up is I was working a homicide. I was at work for 3 days straight and my captain came in and I took my tie off just before he got there, and he starts pointing at his neck, and he's like, "Where's your tie?" And I was like, "I took it off. I've been here for 3 days. My neck hurts." And he's like, "If you want to work here, you got to have your tie on." So that is all I needed to hear. I went back to my desk. I typed my resignation. I handed in. I went home, gave him a month notice, and wore jeans and a T-shirt the rest of the time. And that's why you don't see me ever in a tie, because I still got some. There's still something there, only on my profile pic.
I was gonna say your profile picture.
It's only my headshot, and that's because I was actually in the detective unit when I got the profile picture, my headshot. But so after my first full year in real estate, that's actually when I went to Remax. Was like right around that end of 2019. In 2020, I became the number 2 individual agent in this entire state across all brokerages. And so I sold, I can't remember, 127 houses, I believe, became the number 2.
So do they do it based off of volume or like
transactions? Yeah,
and or volume? Because it's so funny, like when I hear the number 1 realtors or high profile agents, how much they sell, it's like, oh yeah, I did 2 million, 3 million, and I'm thinking in California that's like 2 houses.
Yeah. Some people, even here it's like that's just one house.
And everybody wants to market to their thing, and that's why I'm always pretty clear about what it is. So like when I became the number 2 agent in the state, that was amongst everybody, and I don't even know how many realtors are in Missouri, but there's a lot. Right. I mean, there's 15,000 just in Kansas City area. So, there's some really big players out there. Yeah. The one that got number 1, I mean, she smoked me. I mean, she's does her thing.
Is she still smoking you?
Yeah. So, she's still an individual. So we compete in different classes. So I switched. So in 2020, I was working a lot of hours just selling real estate. So essentially, I didn't pull back when I stopped working at the police department. I just doubled down. And so in November, mid-November of 2020, I pulled in my driveway around 11 o'clock, and I was tired. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I started having clients kind of slip through the cracks, and that's really important to me. Is my main core value is service over sales, and I can't let that happen. I can't give that lower level of service. So I was like, after this year, I have to start a team, and that's where I learned. That's when I really started treating it as a business instead of a job. Yeah. And I started adding pieces, leveraging, which allowed me to take 6 months off last year. Still got the #1 team in the state. So
you sold my house on vacation.
Yeah, I did.
So he sold my house.
Systems and processes.
Wow. I mean, you showed up every once in a while.
Someone said you won't amount to anything.
We weren't dissatisfied.
Yeah, so I never thought I'd ever amount to anything. I mean, I just wasn't a book guy. I've read probably 2 books my whole life up until I got into real estate.
And now you're reading a lot of books. Right?
Yeah.
What has been your favorite book that's kind of like shaped and molded your mindset?
Man, it's tough. So I'll say.
Or give me your top 3 or 4.
So I'll say the book that I probably wouldn't be where I'm at is the 10X Rule. By Grant Cardone. Yeah, Grant Cardone.
Didn't he write that book with a bunch of like flaws, and he sold like 1 million of them?
Man, all I remember is 10X, and outwork massive action. Do it now, figure it out later. Yeah. So anytime I'd have a really tough decision in my life, because like those that know the DISC test, I'm a really high S and I'm also a high D, but my S is so high, I don't like change. And so
that explains why you're a cop.
Yeah, that's why
they always
I couldn't
say
give it
cops
up.
hate the way things are, but they hate change at the same time.
So you're really good with consistency then, probably.
Yeah, I'm loyal. Like I don't like to leave places. So it took a lot for me to leave my police department. I never wanted to leave my police department.
You also just made another big move too, right? Like it took you...
Yeah, so all good things come to an end. So where I kind of started my career at Remax, sometimes you wear out your welcome. As you rise to the top, you get a target on your back. And, they started taking awards away because everybody got tired of seeing it.
And not the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl again, that, right?
And
that's
like
bull because, if you deserve it, you deserve it.
Yeah.
I have kids. I got 5, and there's one that just doesn't like to do things. And I'm like, well, you ever want... I mean, I love my kids, but they got to learn that, you got to do certain things to achieve certain things.
Yeah.
There's just something
were they
about...
giving out participation trophies too?
So they were given
trophies,
so they started some of that, and and the thing is I wish them nothing but the best. I mean they really poured in. I'm not. Okay, I'm over that.
That's good.
My life,
that's good.
So
I have a high D too.
So no, I mean they really helped me a lot. I mean I still think very highly of them, and it was just I needed a new culture shift, and I like to win, and I'm very competitive, and I got tired of beating the same people anyway, so now I'm beating new people. So, it's just what drives me. But I also say, I want you to win as well. I want you to beat me. So I will sit down and train anybody about, how I do it, because none of this is... what we say, rocket science. I do have a lot of skills that a lot of people don't, just from my past experiences as a detective. The communication and the verbal judo, so to speak.
All that can definitely be learned,
yeah,
right? Like those are all skills that you could learn or know.
And it seems like just being around you too, more would be caught than taught, and that's really a big thing.
And we train a lot on my team, just role playing.
Role play's big.
Like real estate's knowing what to say, when to say, how to say it without hesitation. And so we just try to teach them that. But they don't have the thousands of interrogations, right? Behind them, the hostage negotiation stuff, and so.
I feel like business, like the fundamentals are very universal across the board.
Absolutely.
Like how the foundation, the marketing, the systems, the team, all that kind of stuff. It's repetition and consistency that really gets people good to great. Like good to great is really about consistency and practicing perfect. Like I remember when I was in ROTC, we were doing drill. They're like, practice makes perfect, right? And we were like, yes, like you're wrong. Yeah. Perfect practice makes perfect, right?
Sorry, I don't know what it is.
Our Reserve Officer Training Course. In high school was like the little paramilitary.
Yeah, it's like a little paramilitary course.
Yeah,
I can start talking about gigabytes, but
no, it's all good. No, but when you think about being good or mediocre and going great, it's really about just doing the uncomfortable things over and over and over and over and over again. And it's nothing new under the sun. Like all these things have already been proven.
Yeah. There's a blueprint.
Like if you write a book about how to be successful, 90% of that book will be something that somebody else taught 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
Yeah.
Right?
And we're all actually DJing everyone else.
Exactly.
Stuff.
Yeah. And it's just about being consistent. You know, I do certain activities every single day to drive my business. And that's what I teach my agents and agents on my team. And that's why I'm so hard on them, because I'm like, this is so easy, guys. I mean, just take care of your clients. And so, you know, I am pretty hard on them because I do demand greatness and I want to win. But I also, my why is I want to change their life. The way real estate's changed my life, I want it to change their life. And
that's where they're really going to buy into.
Yeah. It's because my North Star is I want to be the number one team in the world, but that's not their North Star. So I have to find out what their goals are so that way they can, you know, help me with my goal. And so that's it's hard because some agents' goals is I only need to make $35,000. And that's hard for me.
That's like,
because,
that's it.
Yeah, because I'm like,
I just want a little bit of stability,
you know,
and then relax.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people are like that.
Yeah.
When you choose people on your team, do you also like take a look at what their North Star is and really make a determination on how much investment of time you need to put into them?
So a little bit. So So my staff, I hire for my weaknesses. So I'm not analytical at all or anything like that. So all my staff is completely highly analytical, highly detailed. I'm the guy that just runs through walls, and I let them pick it up. And but my agents, it's tough because you know we do the disc, we do other assessments. There is not a test that's going to tell me if they're going to wake up, pull up their computer and do the activities necessary to drive their business. And I wish there was a test that said that, but everybody that you think is going to be very successful at that sits at home and watches TV all day. And the ones that you're like, yeah, I'm not sure, are the ones that are actually doing the work every day. Because it's on our team, we kind of, it's a one-stop shop. We supply everything for our agents, and all they have to do is do an hour's worth of activity every day to make 6 figures. And so we've developed those systems for them. And so that's where I get a hard time when they're not utilizing those systems properly. But you know, it's everybody's goals are a little different. But trying to figure out which agents to hire, which ones not. I say no probably 8 out of 10 times for being on our team.
I'm pretty sure everybody wants to be part of your team because you're up there.
Not necessarily, because I'm pretty transparent, and I'm going to be like, hey, when a client needs to go show a house and it's in an hour, like you need to drop what you're doing and go. Because we do a lot of online leads, we do a lot of different systems. So I tell people like you have to grind, and when I tell people that, they're like, ooh, I just really want to sit at home and let the money come in, you know? And I'm like, that's not the way it works.
That's a wonderful business strategy, right?
Yeah. And they see it, and, you know, I kind of tell them, like, you know, I was like, hey, like, being on my team, like, you can't be Michael Jordan. You can be Scottie Pippen, but you can't be Michael Jordan. That's me. You can go start your own team. But
or if you find the Michael Jordan, then you make another team that makes more
exactly, right? And that's the thing is somebody that, like, my team's designed for somebody that doesn't necessarily want to lead generate on their own, you know, because we do all that for them. Like, they don't want to do their paperwork. We do all the paperwork for them. You know.
So you let them be agents.
I want them to go either be with their clients or be with their family. I don't want them up till midnight doing contracts. So when I started, I wrote down everything that wasted my time, everything I hated to do, everything that just didn't make me money.
That's a high D.
Right? All I want to do is my agents to focus on dollar productive activities. And I hired a staff to essentially take all the other stuff out. And all I want them to do is be with their family, be with their clients, be with their family, be with their clients, and not doing like me. I would pull over on the side of I-70 and type contracts, and just because I'm like trying to get to the next appointment. So I didn't want them doing that. So I developed a system to support them.
Dang, I want to be a realtor on your team now.
Let's go.
Shoot.
Come on. I'll give you the assessments. I'll see if you pass. But,
my wife's listening like, no, not another thing, Joe. Not another freaking
You wouldn't
thing,
pass.
Joe.
You wouldn't be qualified on his team.
I wouldn't.
So
you can't work for anybody.
High D's, and that's the thing. But that's who makes the best business owners, right? Is the people that can't. I'm a hard person to lead, and I know that, and I recognize that with my past brokers.
But you're an awesome person to be a friend with.
Yeah. So
right?
and I require a really strong leader. If they're going to lead me, I need somebody very strong. And I'm loyal, but I also, I never want somebody to be nice to me just because I'm making them money. I want somebody to be around because genuine people, because that's the hard part about business is that money changes a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I think Dave Ramsey said it best. More money makes you more of what you already are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're an idiot, more money makes you an even bigger idiot, right?
Yeah.
But it changes the type of idiot you are.
Yeah. Right? And it's hard when you're making other people money and they're relying on you. And I know if I leave, I'm going to be hurting them. So sometimes I get kind of caught in that cycle because I know what my team, how valuable it is with how much business we produce, where we've considered starting our own franchise and all that, but all I was going to do is buy a job. And I'm not the type of guy that wants to sit in an office for 8 hours a day to be a broker. I have a broker's license, but I don't want to sit in an office all day. And so I have to be on the go. And my North Star is to be the number one team, but it's also to help as many people to the top to go with me. Yeah. So I want to bring everybody up.
Now you find your other
top.
MJ and you just they can, instead of franchise, we just make another location.
Yeah. And I have a brokerage in Atlanta, Georgia, as well.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah.
So
a couple people there or one person there?
Yeah. So we have a few agents there, and I have a partner that kind of runs that, and a little more on the investment side. And it's one of those things where sometimes high D's, we get squirrels all over the place, and sometimes we make decisions maybe we probably shouldn't just because it sounds sexy. Like I've had a team in Florida. I'm like, oh yeah, Florida, this is awesome. Man, it sucked. And trying to manage, even the brokerage from a different place is not probably the right thing to do. Yeah. I'm not giving them me. I'm giving them somebody else, but it's not me. And so it's hard to do that, but then I got caught up in what sounded sexy at the time, and so I'm really kind of scaling back and consolidating some things, and not on what sounds good, but what is good. Mainly for my family, because that's what we're doing it for. So.
Yep, it's awesome. Well, if I ask you this question, if you can define success, what would it be?
Who defines success?
Like Gary Kerley's version of success.
Ooh, man, that my kids end up in a better place than I did. That's success.
Wow,
do you care to emphasize on what that means to you?
Well, so everybody's like, I want my kids to struggle the way I did so that way they get where I want to go. But really it's like you want them to go so much higher. So that way their floor is your ceiling, and that's success. If I can give them the tools and the resources to give their kids and their kids and their kids, it's not about money. Money's a tool. It's all the other stuff, happiness, what fuels them.
Yeah. So give us those measurables, because money is definitely just a tool.
Yeah.
And sometimes money is a KPI, right? Like if you do certain things right, money comes.
Money doesn't suck, so don't get it wrong. Money has made my life unbelievably easier.
Well, there was somebody that said, "I'd rather be rich and have problems than poor and have problems."
Yeah,
right?
you're always gonna have problems. I've been really poor to the fact where right before I got into real estate, I'm pawning jewelry to pay my mortgage. Trying to figure out how to eat. Going to McDonald's to get my free meal. Since I'm a cop, and if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't eat some days.
So you're doing all the tricks.
Yeah,
the only thing is, you had a patrol car, so you had free gas.
Yeah, right? So only while I was there. It was. I've lived hard to the fact where money doesn't suck, but it is just a tool to get you and your family where you want to go, or to help other people. So because if I didn't have money, I couldn't help anybody. So
yeah. It's like money. People think money's evil, and then people think money's the god of everything.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it's just money.
Yeah.
It's an inanimate object.
Yeah.
Have you read the screw tape letters?
Mm-mm.
Is that C.S. Lewis?
C.S. Lewis. It's like a demon, and his uncle demon is coaching him and mentoring him on how to bring chaos in the world, and what the good KPIs are. If people are just mediocre and just following the system and just doing this and hating money and making excuses why they can't be great, then you've won. But then when you have people that think outside the box and use their money for good and And so at the end of the day, like when demons succeed, they can get into leadership. If they don't, they get eaten by the other demons. It's a really trippy book. Kind of dark, on my list. But you're a cop, so you can handle the dark stuff because we've probably messed with demons in our life.
It's like a 15th grade level, right?
So
it's very. Put in ChatGPT, summarize it.
Yeah, there we go. Actually.
I've read it a couple of times, and there are moments like it's like a little bit of King James version, but it's actually a pretty good thing. But like you were part of what I call the Matrix, right? Like you just had a job, you just did this, right? Something had to happen, and then somebody says something to like trigger a change, and I feel like a lot of people have that opportunity multiple times in their life, but they never activate or they never take action on it. Like your rags to riches stories, you gave us the Cliff Notes version. What are some of the challenges that you did face between, the rags to the riches, and how did you overcome those things? Because
to the riches.
Yeah, we have a lot of people listening where they might even be in that low, like, so I did make the change. I'm trying to, but I'm really sucking at the moment, right? Like, what would you say to that?
Man, so first you got to have the courage to jump, right? And something. I was just sick enough of being sick and tired that I did make it, but really, it's like I had to master myself for every level, and every level required literally a different version of me. So, these people that I did used to work with in my past life, they actually they wouldn't even recognize me now. Maybe my face, but not who I am because I am so different. Yeah. I've had to transform myself to be, somebody different to get where I wanted to be. Right. And still kept my core values, all that. But I've had to learn so much about how to master myself and get past all my past demons. And it's something I still struggle with every day. To get just to the next day. And it's something, I meet with a coach every week just to how do I get, to that very next level. And it's always I'm in my own way. And we're always all in our own way because literally like we are all created to be special, in one way or another. And so that's why I always go back and just like, why not you? Right. So anytime, I'll mentor somebody, I'm like, who is the most successful person that you know? Right. And it could be on the internet, it could be on TV. Mm-hmm. Who is the most successful person you know? And I'm like, what separates them and you? Action, maybe, but other than that, really like nothing. And so why not you? Why are they the top in their field and you're struggling every day? And
because can't you take action?
Yeah.
Can't you also learn the things?
Yeah, it's just jumping, and you just have to believe in yourself. Yeah. And why not you? And as a man, I'm really big in that masculine role of like lead your family, and and luckily, and
in today's society, good for you.
Yeah, and,
what I mean? Like so we need that.
Yeah, but luckily, like I have an amazing wife that has always supported me.
She's really cool.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be where I'm at without her.
If you're listening,
real. So yeah,
did you hear it?
You better listen. No, Crystal. I mean, we've been together since we were 14. We have been through
my wife
some
and I
stuff.
have a very similar experience, like dating at 14.
Yeah.
We knew each other at 8.
Yeah, so we started going out at 14.
Can I jump in really quick though? Like you said something that I tell my clients all the time, like you just got to jump off the cliff. Like entrepreneurship is jumping off while you're learning to fly.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes
and then you realize you don't have wings, so you got to build
as you're falling, right?
Build something.
But you're never going to have all the answers to start. Like a lot of people, and correct me, I mean, well, I think you're going to agree with me, but a lot of people, when they're waiting for the perfect opportunity to start a business, perfect opportunity to get married or to have a kid or, fill in the blank, you're never going to be ready.
Never 100%, perfect.
Right? Because you only know, and you've only grown to the level of your ignorance. Yeah. Right? To the boom. Like you can't pass that. So how important is mentorship to you? You mentioned that a few times. Like for success, what
Wow.
How important is mentorship?
So, like I said, when I first started, the only people I knew were a bunch of other law enforcement officers. So my mentors were online. Grant Cardone,
Grant Cardone
John
guy.
Maxwell, Darren Hardy,
Hardy.
Eric Thomas.
Like Zoom online?
So
or
like YouTube. And I look up their
fun fact,
videos.
John C. Maxwell was my pastor in San Diego.
Okay.
Before he became a speaker. I was a kid.
Yeah.
Cool.
Big leadership guy. Eric Thomas, a hip hop preacher. I listened to him a lot, and those were my mentors. And because I didn't know anybody else. And so.
And you definitely had to change the voices in your ear, right?
Yeah. Because I didn't know that stuff, right? Like, and these people, just because they're on the internet, like they're giving you their wisdom, and that's kind of spoken to me. And so now, like, every chance I get, I have a mentorship program, I have a coaching program. I just want to give back as much as I can. So people.
And do you have a podcast?
I don't actually.
Oh, I know a guy.
Well, I know a guy that has a studio.
Yeah. So my social anxiety does keep me from doing a lot of stuff, right? And that's things I still have to master with myself.
Why not?
Yeah, why not you, right? No.
Why not
guys,
Gary Kerley?
Do you want to see a podcast show?
Put on the comment, why not Gary?
Yeah.
Why not Gary in the comments, and we'll share that with you.
And I think sometimes we're our own worst enemy, because with my story, I'm like, who wants to listen to this, right? Like
we've been listening for almost an hour.
And that's where I'm like, what the heck am I going to talk about? And I'm like, why makes me special over somebody else? And
because you'll lift other people up.
Yeah,
that's what I see in you, and that you are doing based on what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You bring on guests, you lift them up, and you encourage them.
And that's my why. I mean, other than, like I always say, your why should make you cry. And so my why is my family always, but also it's everybody around me. I just want to make better anytime I meet them, and if their job sucks, I can help you, and it's not just getting into real estate. It's find your passion and let's monetize it. Yeah. Like, we have one life. You shouldn't be stuck in it. You shouldn't be miserable every day. Go out there, live for you and your family, and just kill it,
Yeah. Dude, chills. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Your why almost made me cry, dude. Because I think all of us listening and all of us sitting at this table, like, we could have chosen the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Right? And let's be very honest. Entrepreneurship is simple yet very hard to do.
Yeah.
Because you're battling with the mind. Like, here you are, very accomplished realtor, 7 figures, #1, all the stuff, all the awards, even change brokerages so you can actually get the awards you deserve, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
But you struggle in the mind. And I feel like the battle is always there, right? Like, we're spiritual beings. Like, we're Christians. We understand the battle's in the mind. But that doesn't just apply spiritually. That's in all areas, right? Like, I feel like sometimes my past, which is actually very similar to yours, tries to kick in. And it's like I still hear that voice of, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Who wants? And then I have to get to the point where it's like I'm shutting that down as fast as possible, because you start giving into that and you actually start to believe it.
Yeah.
Right? Your brain will start finding areas in your life, areas in everything that you do that actually prove to you what you've been telling yourself, whether verbally or just mentally, over and over again. So I say business is always, the majority is mindset.
Yeah.
Your success is majority mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset, and then taking action based on it.
Yeah.
And then that shapes your mindset again.
Yeah.
It's like the cycle.
Yeah, getting punched in the face and getting back up.
And you would probably know, like,
getting punched in the face, getting back up.
You probably got punched physically.
Or punching in the face, and then
watching them get back up saying, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Mike Tyson say, everybody comes in with the plan until you hit in the face, right? Like, boom.
And, dude, Gary Vee's like, man, people these days just need to get punched. Like, once in their life, and then.
Yeah.
Gary
Vee's a guy. Yeah.
Dude, I love
chip teeth just to.
Yeah.
Gary V was my Grant Cardone.
Okay. Yeah.
But at the same time, Grant Cardone started sneaking in. And if you've ever watched Undercover Billionaire,
absolutely.
That.
Yeah.
Like season 2 with Grant Cardone, he's selling the exact package that I sell.
Yeah.
So I got to watch this genius sales guy go from nothing to taking action, selling a podcast show to a bank. It's like, banks hardly ever do marketing,
Yeah.
And they did. And then they delivered afterwards. He's like building the team after.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, just start and figure it out.
Yeah, start and figure it out.
It's like, just do it and make the ask.
Yeah, and when he's probably failed more times than any of us have even woke up, right? So, I mean, people don't realize, like, I think he's in his 60s, and, like, I don't think he probably even got noticed too much until he was past his 50s, you know?
And so... Well, he was a drug dealer. He was I mean, like, his story can inspire.
So, and that's the thing is, like, almost all successful entrepreneurs, business owners, man, we're all screwed up. And we all have we all have this,
everyone type in the comments,
history.
I'm screwed up.
Yeah. We all have this past. We all, struggle with demons, and, we just have to wake up and get past it. And, but yeah, every successful person I know is, could probably, tell some stories about their life and their struggles, and, there's something to that. And I think how the way they're wired, especially like the past, addicts, drug addicts. Well, me, I was just lucky enough to instead take my addictions to hard work. And that's why I'll always say, like, nobody will ever outwork me. And it's only because
that sounds like a Grant Cardone say.
Yeah, nobody will ever outwork me. Yeah. If he's saying he stole it from me. And listen, Grant. And
because he came after you, that's for sure, right?
So I hope so, because he always said if you get big enough so everybody comes after you, right? Yeah. So but I've just put, my addictions to hard work and good use instead of, drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. So
that's awesome. I don't think you got lucky. I think you just reshifted. I mean, but luck is still, like, in the beginning, you depend on
the harder you work, the luckier you get, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
You had someone watching you.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife.
Your wife.
So, no.
Well, really quick. I mean, just to kind of close this off, like, there's people watching, right? Whether it's your audience, our audience, a mix of audience of both of it, ours. What is the number one piece of advice you can give to a startup? Ooh. Somebody who's either thinking about starting a business or in the process of making the moves.
Yeah. Believe in yourself, because why not you? That's it. It's that simple. Why not you?
Yep.
That's it.
Spoken from a ghetto boy from Independence, turned to cop, turned into #1 realtor, right?
That's right. 10X.
10X, baby.
10X. Yeah. I think it's their last 10X conference.
I'm going to be there.
You are?
Yeah.
I leave Tuesday. The most expensive conference, or what?
So actually, it was not. A couple of years ago, it was the most expensive conference, and there was all floor seats, and I'm not real tall. And so I paid like $5,000 to stare at the back of a guy's cowboy hat. And
but you were there.
The conference seats that clicked together, I'm like sitting sideways. I was like, never again am I going back to GrowthCon. And here I am. It's his last one. So, man, he's a top-level marketer.
Who was the speakers last time?
I'm going to be honest. So, well, the last time I was there, the ones that stuck out, Tom Brady.
I remember watching.
Oh yeah, his mindset. Oh my, dude, that guy is so intense as he sets there. And
did you ever go to the one where he interviewed Donald Trump?
No, I missed that one. Okay. Yeah, so
Kevin Hart was on one.
Yeah, so I was at the one with Kevin Hart.
Nice.
So Tom Brady, Stephen A. Smith, was that Megan Kelly,
and he had those like Shark Tank people.
Yeah.
Who's the big investor? There's all of them are investors.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, Mr. Big, the Canadian guy.
I think he's had all of them, actually.
Yeah.
Grant,
Dana Jones, I mean, and man, it's
Dana
funny.
White too, right? The UFC guy?
That's actually who I meant.
That guy's intense.
Dana White.
That guy's intense.
Gary Brecka, so I love, that's like my fuel. And so I go there. I don't learn a lot like strategically necessarily.
No, but
that is my fuel.
Yeah.
Like I come out on fire, just like beating my chest. And
nice.
So I haven't went for a couple of years, but since this is supposedly his last one.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
He got me.
You know what he's going to do though?
Yeah, sell or be sold. He's going to rename it.
He's just going to retitle it.
Yeah, he's going to rename it because that's essentially what everybody does. Like
to 20X.
He knows marketing. He knows marketing.
Oh man, yeah. So sell or be sold, right? It's kind of like the ClickFunnels guy. He sells you volume 2. It's the same thing, just retitled. It's just, man, he's a genius. But I'll say, like, he did have, whether he knows it or not, like a big part of what got me going. And that's where, like, he's obviously super successful and mega millions and all that. But like, if it wasn't for him, maybe I wouldn't be a millionaire, and I wouldn't have made my first million to shove it in those people's faces that said I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
at the PD.
There we go.
So
we'll just go to the police department. I don't know if you want to say the police department, but I'll just bring it there. Be like, hey, I got a video for everyone to watch. Just
yeah. No, they're watching. I guarantee it. So they're watching me. So
awesome.
The haters always watch, right?
Haters gonna hate.
So haters.
They got nothing
hate.
better to do but to hate.
Yeah.
So
Well, nice. Well, thank you so much for actually gracing us with your presence here. I think we learned a lot about just mindset.
Yeah.
Because, I feel like people think that there's a perfect formula. Well, look, there's a formula, but does it always get implemented perfectly? Probably not, right? You just got to get in there. The formula is take the risk.
Formulas can
maybe make it up, man. I mean, just make it up and just go. And like when I first showed up to my first,
yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, too, like being successful is really about selling yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really got to sell yourself, even if you don't feel like you're sellable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like people are like, oh, you sell houses. I'm like, I don't sell houses. There's nothing I can say to get somebody to buy a house, right? Mm-hmm. I sell the process, I sell the experience, and I sell myself. And this is why I'm better than all the other realtors. Like it's the experience. It's the ultimate fan experience. Yeah. So
no one else will ever get the Gary Kerley experience.
That's right.
Gary Kerley experience.
That's right.
Oh, we'll call it the Kerley experience.
Yeah. Whatever you call it.
Do you want to feel curly today? All right.
Curling?
I don't know about that.
I don't know why. Like my nerd self goes like curling and then curly fries with
I was
curly.
Like curly
girls
fries
for the girls.
Girls for
the girls. All right, guys. We're going to stop this now before we get really, really weird. Hey, guys, if you really enjoyed this podcast, what we ask for you to do is to like it, share it, and subscribe so that way you get notifications where new videos come out. It's really about you. We really want you to see and hear experiences so that way you can find encouragement, find hope. Entrepreneurship doesn't have to be lonely. And if there's nobody around your circle, this is kind of how you get it. If you have any comments or any questions or suggestions, put in the comments below. We actually do read them.
Yeah.
We care about them. And any closing thoughts on you?
Just if you're listening and you haven't gone over to the video side, a podcast that's a video, the term is vodcast. Is one of my team members who's over here editing live right now.
Live edits.
So go and subscribe on YouTube if you're not on YouTube. But we love you wherever you are. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. And really quick, Gary, how can people get a hold of you? Do you have a social media handles that you would like people to follow you? If people are in the state of Missouri and do want a house.
Yeah, or Kansas as well. So licensed in Missouri, Kansas, and Georgia. Hashtag Hardcore Realtor always. Or you can just find me at Gary Kerley on Facebook. That's Gary Kerley, Kerley. And just search me up.
All right. And if you want the Kerley experience, right there.
Try 10X.
10X. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, stay strong.
And keep on keeping on.